everything has extended since time immemorial. Text 5. Those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with material lust, who are free from the dualities of happiness and distress, and who, unbewildered,
Time immemorial.
know,
Text 5.
know,
Those
know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, attain to that eternal kingdom.
Text 6. That supreme abode of mine is not illumined by the sun or moon, nor by fire or electricity. Those who reach it never return to this material world. Text 7. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind.
Hare Krishna. Text 8. The living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another as the air carries aromas. Thus, he takes one kind of body and again quits it to take another. Text 9. The living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Text 10. Uh, the foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the moods of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this. The endeavoring transcendentalists who are situated in self realization can see all this clearly, but those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try. Hare Krishna.
Text 12. The splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of this whole world, comes from me, and the splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire are also from me. Text 13. I enter into each planet, and by my energy they stay in orbit. I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables.
Hare Krishna.
Text 12. The splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness
40.
of the whole world,
We
comes
already
from
read
me,
text
and
12.
the splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire.
Sorry. So,
Wait, whose turn is it?
It was Priyanka Mataji's turn.
Oh, I
No,
thought I was after.
Oh,
Aruni
Arun, yeah.
Mataji. Anuni Mataji's turn.
Okay, so it's text 14, isn't?
yes. Yes, Mataji.
I'm the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entities, and I join with the air of life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the four kinds of foodstuff. Text 15. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas.
Text 16. There are two classes of beings, the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every living entity is called infallible. Text 17. Besides these two, there is the greatest living personality, the Supreme Soul, the imperishable Lord Himself, who has entered the three worlds and is maintaining them.
Hare Krishna. Text 18. Because I am transcendental beyond both the fallible and the infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in this world, in the world, and in the Vedas as that supreme person. Text 19. Whoever knows me as the supreme personality of Godhead without doubting is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata. Hare
This is the
Krishna.
most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures, O sinless one, and it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise. And his endeavors will know perfection. Hare Krishna.
Okay, let's spend a little time in reflections. And I think Namazya Mataji also joined us. And we can check whether she's in a position to read or not.
Yes, Mataji.
Namazya Mataji, can you read?
Yeah, Mataji. Yeah. Right now I'm trying to sign up with my iPad because with the phone it's hard to read.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So, okay, some thoughts, reflections. I see Priyanka jumping there. She's trying to
Yes,
unmute.
Madhaji, I really, I was just meditating upon this line that I enter, I become the juice of in the vegetables and the fire of digestion, and
Yeah,
so I
Soma
can,
Bhutva. Yeah.
yeah,
Soma Bhutva Rasatmakaha. Right? I become the moon and thereby supply
supply it. Yes.
juice to the vegetables. Yeah.
I still like the one which says the splendor of the sun, which dissipates. Because without the sun, really, we cannot even survive without the sun
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
so many different
Yes.
ways.
Yeah. And it's such an interesting thing that, when we say that, you need eyes to see something, right? But
Yeah.
even if you have eyes, if there is no sun, then you cannot see.
Yeah.
So sun is required, and it's so amazing. Such an amazing thing that if you arrive in a city in the dark of the night and there's a power failure, you'll have no idea, and then you go to sleep. Or suppose when a bus is on a journey and you take an overnight bus and you go to sleep, and then your eyes open up at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning, and you are up in the hills, and then you say, "Oh my goodness, the whole night I could not see anything because it was all dark." And then these things start manifesting. So it's not that they were not there; they were there, but we could not see because the sun was not there. Similarly, as we progress in Krishna consciousness, things start manifesting in front of us.
But that's the physical aspect. But even so many people, they say in the winter months when the sun is hardly to be seen, they get depressed and they don't like it.
Yes.
So even in the mental way, it's like the sun is so important for all of us.
Yes. Actually, when I first came to USA, I was up in Minnesota, very, very cold, and the sun used to set at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
You can imagine a person coming from India and the sun sets at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I was kind of like more used to having the sunlight. It's not that the sunlight was it was ineffective because it was so cold there that even if you had the sun, all that it did was reflect off the snow and come into your eyes.
Yeah.
But you could see that the sun lost its power there. But anyway, but I heard there that they used to go and purchase bulbs to put in their home, and they were called daylight bulbs. And I was like, oh, why this? Why are they so finicky? Why do we need these kind of bulbs? And then they said that because the sun is not there, they feel depressed, and so the suicide rate goes up.
Very high. Yeah.
Yeah, or they might even commit murder and things like that. Yeah. So sun is important. Yeah, sun is important. Very, very important. Yeah. And it's an amazing thing that there's so many things that the sun can do, right? It can dry things up, and when things go bad, you just go and put it. I mean, I was so used to putting things out in the sun when I was in India because there's plenty of sun and it's very effective there, right?
But then we take it for granted only when we read this that
Right.
it comes from me. The
comes from
splendor
me.
of the sun comes from me. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it is so amazing. Like the other day, I was all telling you that even in this universe, the sun doesn't go to all the places, right? It's only in the middle planetary system that it is there. The lower planetary systems, they are illuminated, monies, right? And upper planetary systems are self-effulgent. So, yeah, the sun is there, but it does heat up the universe. So it provides the heat. And then we listen to the when we read the Shastras, it's amazing that how far the sun is. It's like many, 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 many miles away, and still you can see it. And how are we able to see it? Through the sun only. Because of the sun, we are able to see the sun. Like that.
And then we can feel it, Mataji, also, like the warmth of the sun.
Yes.
I just always like it during winters.
During the winters. And it's like if you put if you put anything artificial, right, any artificial heater and things like that, it's like, turn the heater towards me, I'm freezing. Like you turned it towards yourself, I'm freezing. Like kids will fight like that. But then look how powerful sun is, that from such a long distance it's still able to like burn us. Right, we can get a sunburn there.
Can I say something, Mataji?
Absolutely, Namaste.
Societies and in many traditions and cultures, the sun is worshipped like crazy. For example, the Mayans, we have the Aztecs in Mexico. We have these amazing pyramids that they were made to worship the sun. So it's incredible. Since those times, long time ago, they've been worshiping the sun.
Yes, even the Egyptians worshipped, right? Because they know they're dependent on. If you're dependent on somebody, you start worshipping them, right? Yeah.
May I say something, Mataji?
Yes.
I remember in childhood, you see, we had a binocular, this magnifying glass, Mataji. We used to put in the direction of the sun and burn the paper. It was such an amazing thing. You see how much power the sun has, that it can burn the thing. It used to smoke.
Yeah, exactly. And I was not allowed to touch that magnifying glass. I was always eyeing it, because I wanted to burn and nobody would allow me to touch. The so-called elders, which would be a sibling few years older than you would, like, we are going to do it, you stay away. Yeah, so sun is indeed very, 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 very powerful. Yeah. And it is interesting when you start reading about the sun and the movement of the sun and the distances the sun has. Like it's a crazy distance. It's a crazy distance, like billions of miles away from us. And still from such a huge distance, it's able to do that. And then there are mountains, which are even higher than, wherever the sun is. They go even higher than that. And because of that, they're able to prevent the sunlight from going to all over the universe. So it's mind blowing, and it's just crazy. Yeah, and like who said that we take it? Was it Sukomal Radhe Mataji? Is that we take it for granted, right?
Yeah, we just get up and say that, oh, the sun is out.
Right. Yeah, I'm just trying to see. Just give me a second here. Yeah. Any other reflections? Any other thing that comes to your mind? Yes, no? Should we move to Srimad Bhagavatam? Okay, good. What do you say?
Yes, Mataji.
All right. So whose turn is it to read? I think Neeral Prabhu.
Mataji, my half was there. We can have Namasya Mataji start reading.
I saw the other half come.
Yeah, she is not going to read today. She'll listen in.
All righty. Okay. So I'm sharing the screen number 2, and Srimad Bhagavatam coming up. Okay. So I think we'll have to do, I think we'll have to start with 49. Yeah. 49. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Namaste.
Oh, can you give me the sun, the how that I seen in this? Sutta.
Yeah, Sutta Uvacha Dharmyam Nyayam Sakarunam
Nirvaidikam samam mahat raha dharma suto rakshyaha pratyananda bacho duhyaha
Vacho Dvijaha.
dijaha.
All right.
Thank you.
Good attempt.
Synonyms. Sutta Uvacha. Sutta Goswami said, Dharmyan, in accordance with the principles of religion, Nyayam, justice. Sakarunam, full of mercy. Yeah. Nivyalikam, without duplicity in dharma. Saman, equity. Mahat, glorious. Raja, the king. Raja, sorry. Dharma Sutaha, son. Rajnyaha, by the queen. Pratya Nandat, supported. Vachaha, statements. Dvijaha, O Brahmanas. Hare Krishna.
Translation. Suta Goswami said, O Brahmanas, King Yudhishthir fully supported the statements of the queen, which were in accordance with the principles of religion and were justified, glorious, full of mercy and equity, and without duplicity.
Hare
Purport.
Krishna.
It's my turn, right?
No, Mataji, it
Yeah,
is
it's
my
Mataji.
turn, but
Yes,
with
Mataji,
me.
your turn.
Huh?
Yes, Mataji, Aruni Mataji's turn.
Purport. Maharaja Yudhishthira, who was the son of Dharmaraja or Yamaraja, fully supported the words of Queen Draupadi in asking Arjuna to release Ashwatthama. One should not tolerate the humiliation of a member of a great family. Arjuna and his family were indebted to the family of Dronacharya because of Arjuna's learning the military science from him. If ingratitude was shown to such a benevolent family, it would not be at all justified from the moral standpoint. The wife of Dronacharya, who was the half-body of the great soul, must be treated with compassion, and she should not be put into grief because of her son's death. That is compassion. Such statements by Draupadi are without duplicity because actions should be taken with full knowledge. The feeling of equality was there because Draupadi spoke out of her personal experience. A barren woman cannot understand the grief of a mother. Draupadi was herself a mother, and therefore her calculation of the depth of Kripi's grief was quite to the point. And it was glorious because she wanted to show proper respect to a great family.
Very nice. Thank you. Okay. So reflections, things that you observed here. And can somebody give me in very few, like in 3 sentences, a summary of where we are, what is exactly happening here from what we did earlier?
Hare Krishna, Mataji, I'll try
Okay.
in 3 sentences.
Give it a try.
Mataji, he had killed the sons of Draupadi.
Who is he?
1 minute. Ashwasthama. Ashwasthama killed the sons of Draupadi. And she had opened her here, and Arjuna said, I will bring her, and I'll kill him. He binds him and brings him, and when he brings him to Draupadi, out of compassion says that don't kill him, and I don't want him to suffer as I suffered.
Very nice. Very nice, and very nicely summarized. Good, good. So what are some of the things that come to your mind from this narration that we heard just now?
Well, one
She
line
is
that's
very compassionate.
She's very compassionate. Okay. Aruni Mataji, what were you saying?
Well, I mean, this is just something that struck me because it just seemed like a very strong statement. It says a barren woman cannot understand the depth of grief of a mother. And it kind of made me feel sorry for the barren woman, actually, because, I mean, she has another kind of grief that she cannot bear children at all. So, I mean, that just struck me. It just stood out for me.
Yeah. Yeah, and a barren in this context, I think a barren woman they are using for a lady who doesn't have a child, right? And then not necessarily they're the one who cannot produce a child. For example, the Christian nuns, right? The Christian nuns are also barren in that sense that they don't have any kids, not that they can't produce. But it's a very interesting point that you brought up. And this is that sometimes you have to go through something to be able to understand the grief of somebody else, right? And there's this very famous story of there were two ladies, and there was a son. So you know how people like to have a son. And so one person stole the son from other person, because this one of them didn't have a child. So she stole it and said, "This is my son." And then the original mother said, "No, this one is my son." And they both started fighting. So then they went to the king. And they said to the king that this one is my child. Both of them said, "No, this one is my child." So now king doesn't know what to do. And then the king had his advisor, a very smart guy. So then he whispered something into the king's ears. And the king said, "Okay," brought both the mothers, and I said, both of them, I think, both of you love the child equally. Both of you are not willing to give up the child. And I think because of the immense love that you have bestowed on this child, I think the child belongs to both of you. So I'm going to cut the child into 2 pieces and I give you each half. And then one of them started crying and said, "No, let the other one take it." And the king then turned and said, "This is the real mother."
That's the real mother. Yeah.
Right? So very, very, we hear about mothers and in Srimad Bhagavatam, and if this is the love of mother that brings tears to your eyes, think about the love that Krishna has, right? He is the Mata, Dhata, Pitamaha. He's everything. So now you think of the love that you got from your grandparents. You think of the love that you get from your father, or how a father loves, and then how a mother loves. So all that love combined is in Krishna. So our thing is to focus on that part, focus on that side of Krishna, that Krishna is all loving and all giving. And this is one of the good things about our philosophy, is that we talk and describe God as all loving, very loving, that's all that he wants to do. And that's what he wants us to do to him also. Very good point, Aruni Mataji. What else? Anything else that struck your mind? Should I bring up the words here?
That Mataji, I was just thinking that in spite of like such a big loss, Draupadi still doesn't have a rage inside her. She's not angry. Instead, she's just she's feeling empathy for Kripi, and she's able to put herself in her shoes and just
Understand.
see that. So yeah.
Yeah. And isn't it amazing how Draupadi's character is, you can see that character evolving, right? I mean, we always remember Draupadi as a little bit, she laughed at Duryodhana and she's like a little bit strong, and then, but now.
And also it shows a lot of a big heart, large-heartedness, along with the compassion and empathy.
Right. Otherwise, it's like we want to take revenge.
Yeah.
We want to take sweet revenge. Always. And then that trying to take revenge is such a complicated thing. Such a complicated thing that you'll just go crazy. One thing will lead to another, one thing will lead to another. And that's why, let it go. I was just talking to Sukomal Radhe Mataji before the class started. And I was talking, so we were just talking about, sometimes at our workplace, we have got people, they hurt you and they say nasty things and we don't like the way they're working or whatever it is. Don't let that get to you. And so one of the things that we also notice in this particular verse, which I'm going to bring up here real quickly on the screen for you, is that she's saying that his family, Arjuna and his family, were indebted to the family of Dronacharya because of Arjuna's learning of military science from him. So what is she expressing here? There is indebtedness.
Gratitude.
Gratitude, exactly right. Gratitude, right? So look at her character, that she's showing so much gratitude just for that thing that they did. Right? What did the father do? He taught. Ashwatthama's father taught her husband the military science. It's not that he was not paid for that, right? But still, despite that she's feeling so grateful to him for that act, that today whatever my husband is because of whatever military arts that he has bestowed on me. And this gratitude, this cultivating of this gratitude, cultivating of this gratefulness towards Krishna, and looking and seeing at every step, being grateful to Krishna. For example, let's do an exercise, and not for Priyanka because she's close to a fire. So wherever you are, you sit down and then close your eyes and observe your breathing. Breathe in once, inhale, and then exhale. Inhale and exhale. And inhale and stop your breath. And then don't breathe till I tell you.
I had to breathe now.
Okay, but you were trying not to breathe.
Yeah.
And then so you see, we don't have control over our breath also. Somebody else is breathing us. Right? If we were breathing, then we would have stopped it permanently, right? If you're moving this hand and I say stop moving, you will stop it, right? And then it will stop. But this act of breathing is happening automatically. And then once we understand the respiratory system, then we know very well that how important it is for us to breathe, right? And so and to know that then when we know that it's so important for us to breathe, and then somebody is doing it for us, it's so important for me for the blood to carry the oxygen to all parts, right? If the blood stops going to the brain for a few seconds, we have paralysis. It's that important, and then somebody is doing it for us, right? So there are demigods who control all that, and who controls the demigod? Krishna controls the demigod. So at every step, if you look at your life, at every step, we have got so much to be grateful for. So much to be grateful for. And I read a very nice story and it really touched my heart, growing up. It said that, I always used to complain that I didn't have a pair of shoes. Right? Do you want to complete that?
Yeah. Till I saw a man who had no feet.
Who had no feet, So, but what happens? We compare ourselves to a man who has 2 pairs of shoes.
Yeah,
and then we get, so we have to learn to be grateful. And the interesting thing is that people who are grateful are happy people. Think about that. People who are grateful are happy. People who are ungrateful are unhappy. So we have to learn to cultivate this habit of being grateful at every step. And so sometimes people write what is known as a gratitude journal. So in the end of the day, they will write, what is it that I really liked throughout the day? What am I grateful for? And then so we can start a gratitude journal by writing. And then the next day, same thing. Next day, same thing. Next day, same thing. So then as you continue this exercise of being grateful, you'll say, look, okay, fine. Something new I have to look for. And that becomes a very interesting exercise as I'm looking for. And if you're really looking for something, you'll find it. And then once you get into this habit of being grateful for things, then throughout your happiness is there throughout. And then what more gratefulness, what better opportunity or what better chance that we have of being grateful is to just start looking for what Krishna does for you. And this way, if you get to the habit of being grateful, looking for chances of being, how I can be grateful to Krishna, you're thinking about Krishna the whole day, and that is samadhi. That is samadhi. And for everything, tattenu kampam susamichamano bhunjanam evatma kritam vipakam hidvag vapabher vidanan namaste jive tayo mukti pade sadaya bhag. So this is like the epitome of, being grateful. And that is that even when the wrong things are happening to a devotee, he's grateful and he's saying that I deserved worse. And Krishna, because I'm your devotee, you took care of me like that. So you said the same trait is being displayed by Draupadi over here. She's completely ignoring the negative, completely. And this is also very important for us that, different kinds of things will happen in our lives. Good things will happen, bad things will happen. People will also do good things to us and bad things to us. It is entirely our choice on which do we want to dwell, right? We can dwell on the negative. We'll have negative feelings, more negative. There'll be, poisonous things develop in our body. We'll fall sick. So it's got very, hard and strong consequences of going down that route. On the other hand, if you are just looking for grateful and you're focusing only on the positive of that, and as Prabhupada says, that you should be like the honeybee. You should be like the honeybee who goes after the honey, right? So if your habit is to go after the honey, then what will come into your mouth? Honey, right? And don't be like the fly. What does the fly do? The moment there is something dirty, immediately so many flies will come because they are in the mode of ignorance and they get attracted to these kinds of things, right? So if you're a fly, if you're looking for dirty things, then you will sit on dirty things and you'll eat dirty things, right? And then what you are, what you eat, like that. So our focus should be, okay, whatever the situation is, let me look at it. Let me try to find something positive on it. Try to find something positive on it. Otherwise, there is so much of negativity in this world, right? It's a world of duality. So there's positive, there will be negative as well. So we have to just practice. In the beginning, the mind won't like it. The mind likes to do negative things, likes us to focus on negative things, likes us to feel that we are victim and everything is bad. And so let's not do this. On the other hand, if you cultivate gratitude and try to look for, things that I have received that, I wanted a pair of shoes. I was complaining, didn't have a pair of shoes till you found a man who doesn't have feet. So count your blessings all the time. You should be in the habit of counting blessings. And Draupadi is just doing that. So let's continue. Do one more here. We still have a few minutes to go before we go to the next. Whose turn is it to read?
But Motherji, still one feels that how can somebody can be so compassionate that after losing the 5 sons, 5 children, it may be a daughter or may a son, but children are children. See.
Yeah.
Even after that also she is so compassionate.
Yes.
Unimaginable.
Yes. And whose devotee is she?
Pardon? Draupadi?
Draupadi, whose devotee is Draupadi?
Krishna's.
Krishna.
Devotee, right? Her name is Krishna, right?
Hmm.
So we cannot forget the fact, we cannot belittle the fact that Draupadi, has such a fantastic character. And don't forget her birth also. She came from a yajna. She came from a fire sacrifice. She's not an ordinary person. Right? He and her brother came from a fire sacrifice. Yeah. When Drupad wanted to have a son who would kill Dronacharya, right? So he had a fire yajna. From the yajna, 2 people came out. One was Dhristadyumna and one is Draupadi. Like that. Yeah, but anyway, so Draupadi did come out of fire. So that's where she is. Yeah. Okay, let's look at the others of the Pandavas who are there. Whose turn is it to read?
I think it's mine. Okay. Go ahead.
I don't know. Who's is it? Viral Prabhu?
Did Aruni Mataji read last, I thought? I don't know.
I think he was reading it, yeah.
I just finished reading.
Oh, yeah. It's your
Priyanka Mataji's turn.
Okay, Mataji, thank you. Nakula Sahadevascha Yuyudhano Dhananjaya Bhagavan Devaki Putro Ye Chanye Yascha Yoshita.
Very nice. Okay, whose turn is it now?
Yes, Hare Krishna. Nakula, Nakul, Sahadeva, Sahadev, Cha and Yuyudhana, Satyaki, Dhananjaya, Arjun, Bhagwan, the personality of Godhead, Devaki Putra, the son of Devaki, Lord Shri Krishna, Ye, those, Cha and Anya, others, Ya, those, Cha and Yoshitaha, ladies. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna translation. Nakula and Sahadeva, the younger brother of the king, and also Satyaki, Arjuna, the personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, son of Devaki, and the ladies and others are unanimously agree with the king. Hare Krishna.
Okay, let's continue. So you see that Nakul and Sahadev, they are also agreeing. Now you see who are Nakul and Sahadev with respect to the sons who were killed. What is the relationship of Nakul and Sahadev with those 5 boys?
Uncle, right?
Relationship to who?
To the boys who were killed.
Uncle, right?
Uncle.
Uncle.
And why are they uncle?
Because they are Arjuna's brothers.
So those 5 children she got from Arjuna
I thought from Yudhishthira, right?
and Yudhishthira?
No.
Or they are one from each.
Find that out. The homework.
Uh,
All right. Homework. Okay. And Varshana Mataji, there was some homework yesterday also, right? Did you find out which verse was it? To the Dhatatma Purusha Krishna?
Point 6, Mataji, we posted it on the.
Did that? Okay. Okay. I'm coming
Yes.
straight. Okay. Thank you. I'm just coming straight from the office, so I did not know. I did not know.
No.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Okay.
Sutapa
Yeah.
Mataji had posted first, and I was also.
Oh, she did that? Okay, good. Very good. Okay, so we have 2 researchers in the group. Right. Okay, so they are also agreeing. Okay, so uncles or father, we'll figure it out. Maybe we have to call Khyati Mataji and see what her grandmother told her. Okay, then let's see here. Whose turn is it to read?
My turn, Mataji.
Tatra.
Yeah.
Take help of the English.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Tatra hama rasito.
Amashita.
Mr. Bhimas tasya shreyan vadaha smritah na bhartur nat manasa charathe yo hant suptan sisun vratha.
Okay.
It is tough.
Translation.
No.
Oh, sorry.
Whose turn is it to read?
Oh,
Sukamal Radha
yeah. Should
Tatra.
Tatra thereupon, Aha said, Amarsitaha in an angry mood, Bhima, Tasya his, Shreyan ultimate good, Vadaha killing, Smrita recorded, Na not, Bhartuhu of the master, Na nor, Atmanaha of his own self, Cha and Arthe for the sake of, Yaha one who, Ahan killed, Suptan sleeping, Sisun children, Vritha without purpose.
Translation. Bhima, however, angrily disagreed with them and recommended killing his culprit, who had murdered sleeping children for no purpose and for neither his nor his master's interest.
Okay, then let's go to the next one.
Yes, Mataji, can you guys hear me because I am like in a noisy background now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you in musical background.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. Nishamya Bhima Gaditam Draupadyascha Chaturbhuja Alokya Vadanam Sakyur Idam Aha Hasan Hiva.
Okay. Synonyms.
Hare Krishna. Nishamya, just after hearing. Bhima, Bhim. Gaditam, spoken by Drupdya of the Draupdya of Draupadi, Cha and Chatubhuja, the four-handed personality of Godhead, Alokya, having seen, Vadnam, the force, Sakhya, of his friend, Idam, this, Aha, said, Hasan, smiling, Eva, as if. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Very interesting thing in the purport. Yeah. Whose turn is it?
Mine, Namacha.
Okay, go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Chartubhuja, the four-armed one, or the personality of Godhead after hearing the words of Bhima. Draupadi and others saw the face of his dear friend Arjuna, and he began to speak as is smiling. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Lord Shri Krishna had two arms, and why he is designated as four-armed is explained by Sridhar Swami. Both Bhima and Draupadi held opposite views about killing Ashwatthama. Bhima wanted him to be immediately killed, whereas Draupadi wanted to save him. We can imagine Bhima ready to kill while Draupadi is obstructing him. And in order to prevent both of them, Lord discovered another two arms. Originally, the primeval Lord Sri Krishna displays only two arms, but in his Narayan feature, he exhibits four. In his Narayan feature, he resides with his devotees in Vaikuntha planets, while in his original Sri Krishna feature, he resides in the Krishna Loka planet, far, far above the Vaikuntha planets in the spiritual sky. Therefore, if Sri Krishna is called Chaturbhujaha, there is no contradiction. If need be, he can display hundreds of arms, as he exhibited in his Vishwarupa shown to Arjuna. Therefore, one who can display hundreds and thousands of arms can also manifest four whenever needed. Hare Krishna.
So isn't it interesting? And when we read this, we understand the importance of Srila Prabhupada's purports in our lives, isn't it? And we were reading a few days ago in the Bhagavad-gita, right? There was a word which said Manishinaha. You remember that? We were talking about that.
Of sound mind.
Yeah. And then one who really thinks deeply, right? They think very deeply. And so you also notice that when we read these, when we read, I can tell for myself, for very sure, that if I had just read it without Prabhupada help there, and if somebody had just translated, which most of the Bhagavad Gitas are, right? They give the Sanskrit, or they just have translation in a thin book. So I would have just said, oh, Chaturbhuja, the four-armed personality of Godhead. So okay, fine, yeah, so they're just glorifying him, calling him four-handed, like that. But look at Sridhar Swami, right? Who is a sage in our Parampara. He's going down into the deeper part of it, and now he's telling you that how you see how Krishna is foreseeing things happening, right? So he's saying that he's seeing that Draupadi is in one mood, and Bhima, everybody knows what mood he is in, right? Draupadi is in one mood, and Bhima is in another mood, and and how nicely he's describing that, right? So see, just imagine Bhima trying to go and kill Ashwatthama and Draupadi trying to stop him. So obviously, to a Draupadi and a Bhima combination, you need many pairs of hands to, close them. So that's why over there he's saying Chaturbhuja, but they're saying that, although you're seeing four hands of Krishna, but he has many, many hands. That means he is so powerful that he will be able to stop them. Now, sometimes the power to stop is not necessarily a physical power, physical in the sense that not somebody goes and just grabs somebody and stops them. Sometimes how parents will also say, like, the kid is making a ruckus in some part of the house, and the mom just shouts from the kitchen and says, stop! And the kid did stop. Right? So the power is not necessarily to be manifested from the arms itself. Krishna's Vani is also very powerful, right? So he's going to, in the subsequent verses, which we'll do in the next sessions, next week, hopefully. we are going to talk about how what Krishna is saying, and then how Arjun handles that particular situation, like that. And then one more thing is that he's beginning to speak, right? So obviously his devotee Arjuna is perplexed, right? Because his brother is saying something and the wife is saying something, and he was also in a mood to kill, and that's why he brought him, he tied him up. And I mean, Ashtama has been doing a lot of nonsense for the past few shlokas, right? First he took out a brahmas, could not retract it, then Arjuna had to do it, the killing the sons, killing everybody, like that. So Arjuna was in a mood to kill also. So Arjuna wants to kill, Bhima wants to kill, Yudhishthira doesn't want to kill, Draupadi doesn't want to kill, Nakula and Sahadev don't want to kill. So what is poor Arjuna going to do? But then you see, when a devotee is perplexed, and if a devotee is in a mood that I want to receive the mercy from Krishna, I'm ready to receive mercy from Krishna, then the mercy will start flowing. And because Arjuna is in a position to receive mercy for Krishna, why? Because many years ago in Bhagavad-gita, not many years ago, but a few days ago, when Bhagavad-gita was spoken to him, right, as part of the narration, he had said, Shishyasteham shadi mam tvam prapannam. I am a soul surrendered unto you. The surrendered means I will listen to whatever you say. So that's a relationship that has been built between Krishna and Arjuna, that Krishna has now become Arjuna's teacher. And so whatever the teacher will say, the student will do. And also it's a duty of the teacher to say, even if the student is not listening, it's a duty of the teacher to say, to speak, right? Even if the student doesn't like it. And it's not just a teacher thing. Parents are also teachers. So sometimes the kids don't listen. And the parents sometimes might just give up and say, like, they are not listening, I should not speak. But no, it's your duty to say the right thing. And you have to continue to do that. And that's the difficult part of being a parent. But you have to do it because the kids are going to remember that decades later. That this is what my parents took a stand there. They might not accept it as teenagers, but later on they'll be thankful for you. So similarly here we see Arjuna already did that surrender. And so Krishna, the moment Krishna sees, okay, now there's some kind of a dilemma, so he'll tell that, but this is our nutcut Krishna, he's smiling because first he'll tease Arjuna a little bit and then he'll go and do that. So yeah, we have come close to the top of the hour. Are we? I'm using a different pair of glasses. Glasses broke today and I can't see very clearly with these. So, Varshana, you have a watch. What time is it?
It's 8:34.
Okay, 8:34. So we are no. Okay.
7:58.
Yeah. We have a few minutes on my watch. We have a few minutes to 8 o'clock.
Hare Krishna Mataji. What was the relationship of Satyaki with the children?
Satyaki belongs to Krishna's tribe. The Vrishni, the Satyaki is coming from there. So Satyaki, yeah. So he will be like, how in a village everybody is your uncle. So he will be distant to them. Yeah. But Satyaki was on the side of Pandavas. Now, and why Satyaki has been brought up over here, and it's a very good observation that you made, Varshana Mataji, is that all of a sudden why Satyaki's name has been pronounced here, right? I mean, there was Satyaki in the beginning of Bhagavad-gita when Duryodhana is talking about and listing all the warriors that are outside there. He says, Satyaki cha aparajitaha. Aparajita means the one who cannot conquer. Satyaki. So he had that boon that he can give up his life whenever he wants to. So that's what here they're saying, that because in the Mahabharata everybody was killed, right? Most of them, a few remained. I think 18 or something like that remained. And then, so Satyaki is one of them. So yes, so from here you gather that, yeah, he was one of the survivors of the war. And so he's there. Yeah, good point. Very good point. Okay. So we have 1 more minute. Any last comments anybody has about what we read? Anything you liked? Any other questions that can be addressed in 60 seconds?
I have a question, Shraddha Mataji, but it's not related to the class. Can I still ask it?
Yes.
So you know how the 9 stages of Bhakti Yoga and then the 9 processes of devotional service. But in one of the 9 stages of the Bhakti Yoga, one of them is devotional service, right? Like I think one bhajana kriya performance. Are these 9 and 9 stages related in any way?
Yeah, but when we have got Sanskrit and we try to translate that into English, certain nuances get lost in the translation because we don't find an appropriate word for that, right? So the 9 stages of devotional service is that I'm doing devotional service, right? I'm doing devotional service. Let's not talk about how we are doing it. Let's just talk about, and I'll come to that later, but just think about I am doing something. For example, I'm a cook. I don't know how to even chop vegetables, but I can gradually, through practice, I can be elevated and I can become the best chef in the world. Right? Now, so here I'm talking about that I have got stages of being a cook from a stage where I can't distinguish between apples and tomatoes. I go to the next stage where I can distinguish between them. Next stage, I cut the vegetables somehow. Next stage, I know how to dice them properly. Next stage, I understand about spices. Next stage, I know how to cook them. Next stage, just by smelling, I can know whether the food is cooked or not. Next stage, I know how to garnish it, like that. So these are stages, right? Now, how I'm doing all that is not mentioned, right? In my talk, I did not tell you about anything like, how did he actually know how to dice it? Did he get one of the dicing machines? Or did somebody teach him how to use a big knife and dice? We're not talking about that. We're just talking about the stages themselves and how you go, right? So similarly, in devotional service also, you go through some stages. So the first stage is that you should have faith. If you don't have faith, then you can't. So Adhav Shabda Tatha Sadhu Sangha, like this, right? Tatha Bhajana Kriya. So Bhajana Kriya people might translate as devotional service, but that doesn't necessarily mean that. What it really means is that you are doing this Bhajana Kriya under the guidance in a formal manner. Like now that you have been initiated, so Komal Mataji, this is now Bhajana Kriya that you're doing under the guidance of your spiritual master. He'll come and tell you some more, give you some more instruction like that, right? So that is Bhajana Kriya that you're doing, and which can involve how exactly are you going to do, what instructions you're going to give. We will talk about that, right? That I have set aside. But you'll go to that stage under the instructions of your spiritual master. You do certain things, right? Ata Bhajana Kriya. Tatha anartha nivritti sya. Then the anartha start going away. Once the anartha start going away, you get steadfastness, which is nishtha. Right? And then you become steadfast, and by doing it again and again, you get taste, you develop a taste for that. That is ruchi stage, right? Ruchi is I like it. I like it. Yeah. Like ice cream, I like it. Right? If you give me an ice cream, I'll enjoy it. Right? But then higher stage than that is you have attachment for ice cream. Every night you want ice cream. Right? So that is stronger. So asakti is much stronger than just a taste. Taste is I like it. If somebody gives it, I will enjoy it. If occasionally I may do it, but asakti is like there's attachment. So you're thinking, right? So asakti, attachment, and then there is bhava, right? And then there is prema, right? So you have intensified bhava like that. So these are just the stages, and we didn't talk about how can you reach the stages, right? So these are the 9 stages of devotional service as contrast to the 9 processes of devotional service, right? So 9 ways in which you can do that, and Sukamal Radhe Mataji, why don't you read from your notes and give us those 9 stages? Because I know you're reading that, right?
Yeah.
Do you have it?
Yeah, so I have it.
Tell us who says that first. Who gave us these 9 processes? Tell us that.
Prahlad Maharaj.
Prahlad Maharaj, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So hearing Shravanam, chanting Kirtanam, remembering Vishnu Smaranam, serving the Lord's lotus feet Pada Sevanam, deity worship Archanam, praying Vandanam, executing orders Dashyam, serving as a friend Sakhyam, complete surrender Atmanivedanam.
There you go. Right? So there are, these are the 9 processes. You can do all the processes if you like, and you can just do one process. Like if I take chanting, then just by chanting, I can go from the stage of Adhav Shraddha, Tatha Sadhu Sangha, Anartha Nivritti. I can, walk over go through all the 9 stages by just using one process, right? I can pick up 2, I can pick up 3, like that. I can do that, right? So there are processes, and then there are the 9 stages of devotional service.
Mataji, where we can find the 9 stages of?
Well, that's a very interesting question. And thank you for asking that, because I've been teaching to the Modesto people, to the devotees in Modesto, the 9 stages of devotional service, in picking up one stage 1 week. And, over a few months, I have done I have done up to Asakti. And then this coming Monday, at 7:00, I won't have my class, but I'm inviting all of you to come and join there because I'm going to talk about the next stage of devotional service. It'll be on Zoom call. It'll just be a different Zoom number. So I will post the Zoom number on our WhatsApp call closer to that date, right? Because if I post it now, it'll get buried, right?
So you'll talk about bhava then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Because I talked about Asakti last time.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for asking that question. So nice
Thank you, Shraddha Mataji, for clarifying.
You're welcome. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You take
Thank
care.
you so
Enjoy Purushottam month. You're all doing very good. Yeah. Stay fast. And thank you, Vashana Mataji, for the research.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
Thank you, Papa Mataji, for the research because I know she's going to listen to this. And I don't have anybody on Facebook to thank today, but those of you who are watching the YouTube on Facebook.
It's hard. Facebook. I was trying to get in Facebook.
Yeah. Facebook was just Facebook abandoned me today. It was really good too.
Thank you so much.
I broadcasted that on YouTube, and the YouTube link I posted on Facebook just in case anybody, those who are addicted to coming to.
Yeah, you're all addicted.
Yeah.
Thank
Need
you.
a daily fix of Krishna Katha.
Yeah.
Like that. Okay.
We always need.
Haribol Mataji.
There you go. Yes, Khyati, good to hear your voice, and good to hear your voice, Priyanka Mataji.
Thank you so much.
And Mataji,
Krishna, Haribol.